Okay, hey there. So, this is Derek here. Today we're going to do some keyboard updates on my keyboard projects. Um, so, yeah, this is the original version, Adventure keyboard. Um, so you can see the touchscreen system here. You press a key and then you can go to press another key. Um, so that's the touchscreen version. Um, I'm rewriting just the keyboard version to improve the chord detection, but let me see if we can do this. Okay, so I just did rekey and then I'm gonna do a one-handed typing on this keyboard here. So let's do rekey again. Rekey. So RNOEATIL space shift, and then oh, we have extra keys. RNOEATIL space shift, and then we have SDWHFY. Okay. To be or not to be. That is the question. Shift the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy diode GS. Okay, so that's the most basic version right there. Give me just a moment. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you the numpad version. So let's see if this works. Menu rekey. So the way I like to do it is R N O E A T I L space shift, and then we have, what is it? I think one of these keys doesn't work, but we'll try it here. Anyway, S D W H F Y. Okay, so then I can use two hands, but it's on a numpad. This is portable, it hangs from my neck, I can be hands free. So that's another setup for the keyboard. That's a famous quote from Shakespeare. Let's do another quick test. This is a test of the emergent. Oh, why is it right here? Broadcast system. Okay, so I can type with just this numpad here. Okay, the problem with this currently is it has to be software based to interpret the chords and translation. So what I also did is I got a reprogrammable keyboard. That's this here. This is a key crone. Let's see if we can see that there. I hate looking it's a Keychron model. It looks like B1PK1. Okay, so that is the keyboard I got. It's nice and small, compact, low profile. It uses what's called ZMK for reprogrammability, and there's just a little toggle switch here. I can switch. So I wasn't able to figure out how to do chording properly with ZMK. I think that QMK is another keyboard firmware system. May have ways to do chording a little better. Either way, let me just pull up the web interface here real quick. So what we do here is we go to launcher.keychron.com, we go connect Keychron B1 Pro, and then that's our keyboard. And then this is the easiest way to reprogram a keyboard, literally. Let's see. So this is the layer how, but let's say we wanted to change our QWERTY, so let's switch E and R. We go and we type in, I guess we click, we do R right there, and then E right there. So we have QWERTY, okay? So then, if we then open Notepad, and if we type on our keyboard, I don't know how well you can see. Let me pull my second monitor back up here. I'm going to take off this cover here. And then you can see if I press Q, W, R, E. So, let me do that again. Q, W, R, E. So we just switch those two keys right here. It's that quick. You just literally, you don't have to save or anything, and then we can just switch them back. So this is the easiest way to program a keyboard that I've found. It's a web interface. It may not work on all devices. It can sometimes work on Android tablets. That's hit and miss. And you have to allow permissions here. But this is a really easy way to edit a keyboard layout. And this actually changes, you can use this with any program because it's a hardware-based change. So I'm going to put this cover back on. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is going to pull up my layout. So this is based on that Adventure keyboard layout. We have the R, N, O, E, and ATIL in the home row. But then we put all the other keys, so that there's actually no chording required for this. You can press it all with single keys. But it's a way if you want to use this in any program, or you can even plug this into an Android phone, potentially an iPhone, and use it as a keyboard like that. And you just have this handy toggle switch, and you can switch it between layouts. So actually when we did that, it switched the star on the screen. So the star shows the active layout. So now we're on the normal layout. So I could reprogram this as I wanted. And I have another keyboard. Actually, let me grab that real quick. I have another keyboard of the same exact model. So this is the same exact model of keyboard. I keep track of which one is which by leaving the plastic cover on this one. That's the reason why I do that. I'm not all that particular about the cover, I just like to distinguish it. So, if we plug back in this other one, we can see, we can connect it. So, yeah, it looks like we're good there. So we can connect to this, and then we can see the layouts I programmed on this keyboard. It's a modification. Okay, so this is a one-handed layout. I put all my numbers over here that I was playing with. So yeah, this is a modification of graphite, I think. Let's see, HAEI-RTS-NRTS. Yeah, that's sort of graphite based. So I've played with a bunch of one-handed layouts. Let me show you another one-handed layout I did. So right QWERTY. So this is just QWERTY, but I shift the 2 rows of letters over, so it sort of makes, and then I moved letters up to the top number row. So I don't know how well you can see that layout. So I shift this over, so you keep, for the most part, you keep the exact same structure as QWERTY. You just moved the keys LIOP, which are usually on the right hand side of the keyboard, up to the top row. But other than that, the bottom row is in the same place. These 2 top rows of letters are shifted over. So this is an easy one-handed layout to learn because it is so similar to QWERTY. But here on my keyboard I have a one-handed layout based on graphite. So let me pull up the graphite keyboard. I keep having to remember I have my layout changed. So graphite layout. Okay, so here is the graphite keyboard layout. So the home row keys are NRTS, HAEI. So we sort of are based on that here, but we put it together in one hand, and I was playing with this. I learned this layout a little bit, maybe like 10 words per minute or so, just mostly where the keys are, but I haven't been using it, and that's because I prefer my one-handed adventure keyboard, just because it's, then I don't have to memorize a whole ton of different things or different configurations. But so I guess I should call it the single key adventure keyboard layout. But anyway, and then here's another modification of graphite. This is a modification. Okay, so here's original graphite. NRTS is the home row on your left hand. I shifted this up to make it, there's this thing with keyboards, I think it's called, I'm not sure what it's called, where you like want an ergonomic keyboard like this, but I just used a normal keyboard and then I shifted the home row keys up, so then you put your hand on it in this more natural position, but you type like that. So this is a keyboard layout I really like. It's a modification of graphite. It's pretty much just graphite, but just the keys are shifted up on the outside. And there are some tweaks and changes I had to make, but that's the layout here. Let's see if I can zoom in. Actually, I can zoom in a little bit, it looks like. So hopefully you can see all of that pretty well. So that's, you can experiment with a lot of things. You can put 2 different layouts on one keyboard and then use this toggle to switch between them, which is super nice. They're called 2 different layers. These layers require the function keys, so they aren't really truly independent layers. You have to press function, so you get 2 layouts per keyboard, which is nice. But then you can use it on any device in any program because it's a hardware based. You're reprogramming it at the hardware level. So now let's go back to this keyboard. So let's look at its layouts. Okay, so the layer 0 is just normal QWERTY, and then, or the Mac layer, it's called Mac layer and Windows layer. So the Windows layer here, I made one-handed or single key adventure keyboard. So if we pull back up Notepad, we can see, oh yeah, that's not backspace. RNOE. Again, I'm going to take this off so you can see a little bit better where the keys are. So this is actually backspace, but then we have RNOEATIL, and then space is the space key. Shift is over here, but yeah, so yeah, that's this keyboard layout. And it's nice because Adventure Keyboard is a starting point, and you can learn Adventure Keyboard with one-handed typing chorded, and then you can, but that only works in the software program. But then if you want to use it with any program, then you can get a keyboard like this. And eventually I want to get a QMK or ZMK file that will support the chording, but for now we just made the closest match to Adventure Keyboard but with single keys. So we have the RNOEATIL, space and shift, and then we have extra keys like SDWH, and I put F over here and Y over here. But so normal Adventure Keyboard, you have the 8 home row keys, the shift and space for 10 primary keys, and then you have extra keys so we don't have to chord everything, and that fits on a numpad. So we have 6 extra keys, S, D, W, H, and F, Y, and those replace some of the chords that are a little harder, maybe more pinky based. So then you get, with just the normal chorded Adventure Keyboard, you're going to learn 16 different single key presses. So then you only have to pretty much learn 10 more key positions to learn this. So I've been getting fairly proficient with this. Let's see how we go. I mean, my first minute or so using it, I sometimes have to remind myself. But let's see. The quick brown fox. X is over there. X is the backslash. J is where backspace is at. And then on the left hand side, you have your numbers and extra punctuation. So this allows you to type with one hand. If you want to use a cell phone, you can use this as a Bluetooth keyboard with a cell phone, and then learn to type with one hand. Very nice way to use this. And then you can use this one-handed layout with any software, or you can use my layout or the chorded layout with my editor for now. But again, I'm hoping to get either a ZMK or a QMK firmware file that will support that chording, so we don't have to rely on software solutions. So here I improved my chord detection, and I just want to see how fast I am currently typing, doing one-handed typing with it. Let's see. Okay, so we're still on that layout. Okay, so I'm back on QWERTY here, but so we're gonna use the software. Okay, press Shift and then down, down, down. So we select then all, backspace, backspace. Then to B. Why is that having trouble? Let's reload this. Sometimes this version, I improved the chord detection. I improved the chord detection compared to this version. There's some sort of bugs or glitches in this version, but this has the touchscreen as well. This is how I end up programming. I end up with a bunch of parallel versions of the software, and some features work well in one version, and some features work well in another. But anyway, so why is that not? Huh. Huh. It does not like green eggs and ham. Okay, so I think what's going on is the key codes are different. That makes no sense to me, because it was just working on. Anyway, so I can't give you a full test because my E key is not working, and that's a very important key. But I improved my chord detection, so I'm typing a little bit faster. I'm guessing up to 30, 35 words per minute with one-handed on a full keyboard. But yeah, that's useful. So anyway, the point of this is not, I guess there's a couple goals here. I want a very portable keyboard. Now Message Ease on mobile is a great, it's a swiping keyboard. That's a great keyboard. And I can get 40 words per minute plus with that, with Message Ease. But I just like having another device. Okay, I'm gonna grab some, I'll be right back. Okay, so this little thing is like a school box, a pencil box, or whatever you call it. And I attached a lanyard to it, keep a Bluetooth numpad on the inside, and then there's these zip ties here which allow you, so this all can be stored in a backpack or whatnot. It's very light, but then you can put your cell phone in here inside the zip ties, and then you can use it one-handed with my numpad. So let me pull the numpad back out. The numpad has Velcro, so then it's like a little laptop. It's like a calculator almost. And then you can type one-handed. I like sometimes using two fingers, just my two pointer fingers, because Adventure Keyboard was designed for two fingers on a touchscreen to chord with. So it works well with a numpad like that as well. And it's nice to have the tactile feedback, because then you don't have to be looking at the screen. You can, sometimes you type more proficiently when you aren't looking, because the screen itself can be a distraction because you have to think about that. But anyway, so yeah, that's this. So another thing you can do with this, If you really want, you could put it around your neck with a lanyard, and then you can type like this. And then you can use this in front of any mirror, or right now, and then you can type like I showed earlier. You can even put a mirror on a hat. I have this Taco Bell hat with a mirror attached to it. So this is real simple. This lets you see the screen, and then you can just type like this, and then this is hands-free. Very nice. You can put the mirror up and just have an unobstructed view. Put it back down. Look at when you're working again. So those are all options for how to use this. You can even, like this, my Adventure keyboard works with gaming controllers too. Like I use the gamepad API in my software. So, but you can even do this kind of setup where you're looking at the front and then you're typing on the back here. So you can type like this. So this is very ergonomic. This allows you to use your full 8 keys and have like a portable handheld to type with. Let me open Adventure Keyboard app on my phone. So I actually don't use the Android app. I just have this single page HTML file that I downloaded and unzipped. And then I open up my files, and then I have it in my starred files, and then it just says Adventure Board right there. I don't know how well you can see that. So I just have it as starred file. It's all in that self-contained file. And then, yeah, so that's the Adventure Keyboard app right there. It's downloaded so it can run offline. Let me turn on my Bluetooth keyboard so we can do a few different setups here. So let's do this. We can go to menu, settings, and then where is it? It should be like a mirror image setting. I'm just gonna have to look at this normal. Okay. Mirror image. So then we change that from false to true. So now that mirrors all the text is all backwards. You should be able to see everything's backwards. But then that is perfect when I put my mirror on my face. And then it's a little, okay. Just trying to get this just properly. Okay, is my numpad, gotta make sure Bluetooth is enabled. So let's enable Bluetooth on my phone. Okay, let's rekey now. So we go to menu, rekey, and we can do RNOEATIL space shift SDWHFY. And we can do the quick round JavaScript programming. Let's see. And main. Okay, again, because I have so many different setups to use these, sometimes I'm not so proficient with that. So then we can flip it back around, settings, mirror image, change that back to false. Now I can use this, let's rekey it again. Rekey RNOEATIL space shift SDWH FY. Okay, so now I can hold it with one hand, type with my numpad. It's very portable. And then, yeah, this is working really well. Okay, so yeah. And then I can even take off my numpad, switch it around the back. I'll have to rekey it again for this. And then let's line up the Velcro. So it sticks. Okay, we got the Velcro lined up. Let's do menu, rekey. Then we can do RNOEATIL space shift SDWH F1. Yes. Oh, I like shift lock on. Yes. We have no bananas. We have no bananas today. Okay. So then I was able to type that, and this is like completely handheld. You can use your full 8 fingers, and they can move around. You use practically the full numpad. Between the 10 primary keys and the 6 extra keys, you're using 16 different keys on the numpad. So it's very adaptive, I would say. But yeah, so a handheld. And even as a final option here, I know if all these different software versions and hardware configurations and everything, if that isn't enough, we got a good old gaming controller here. And then I'm gonna reload this program. Okay. Now I have to use Bluetooth to pair my gaming controller. This better be charged. Pair new device. Key linker. I think this pairs Bluetooth. Is it this? controllers can be confusing. Sometimes there's more than one way to pair them. You can pair them as an Xbox controller. You can pair them as a normal controller. Let's see. Okay, Xbox wireless controller. Hopefully this will work. Okay, vibrated, it's paired. Now I'm going to go back to my program menu, rekey, and then I use the D-pad. The D-pad is this thing right. Sorry, the D-pad is this thing right here. Then I use these buttons, and then I use left and right bumper, and we can rekey again. RNOEATIL space shift. Oh, I have to turn off extra keys. There's no way. Settings, extra keys. Let's do it. No extra keys on there. Okay. So let's do menu, rekey. So now I'm pressing down on the D-pad for R, right on the D-pad for N. I'm pressing B for O, pressing A for E, left on the D-pad for A, up on the D-pad for T, Y for the letter I, and X for the letter L. And then right bumper is space, left bumper is shift. So so if I press space X, dang it. Let's try this again. It still thinks I have extra keys. Okay, we're just gonna do the numpad, extra keys on the numpad. It'll be fine. Is my numpad still connected? Because they have to be bound, these extra keys. Okay, so now I did a workaround through that for that bug. I had to bind the extra keys to the numpad. That's annoying. But yeah, I'm gonna have to repair this as not as an Xbox wireless controller. It doesn't like that. Forget. So let's see, home and B. Okay, now this is flashing green, so this is pairing as a gamepad. So that may work a little bit better this time. And let's go back to my program, rekey the buttons. Down on the D-pad is R, right on the D-pad is N, OEATIL, space shift. Bind the extra keys to my numpad. Is my numpad even on? I turned it off. Okay. Okay. Everything looks bound. So, yeah, there is some type of bug here. That is dumb. So this feature used to work, and I changed something. Maybe there's a setting I can change. Hardware input. Hardware. Okay, for whatever reason, the gaming controller is not working right now. But the way it would work is, I mean, you have 8 buttons on your D-pad, you have 8 buttons over here, you have 2 more buttons on the numpad that exactly matches what is on the screen here, right here. So then, like, this is down on the D-pad, this is R is down on the D-pad here, T is up on the D-pad, N is right on the D-pad, A is left on the D-pad, and then this is like B, A, X, Y. But anyway, so potentially you can use a gaming controller, and then this is convenient, but actually typing, you don't realize how much input you're doing when you type. So it is extremely tiring and not recommended to use the gamepad to type. Something really cool, something people may think, oh, I would really like that, but typing with your thumbs gets tired. And then trying to figure out how to use your pointer fingers to use the D-pad, that's possible, but it's annoying. So this is actually a much better handheld setup. If you use the numpad on the back of this little thing, and then you mount your cell phone like this, this is actually a much better handheld typing system. Right here. Okay. Oh, dang it. Okay. So, like, this is a great handheld typing setup. Just right here. And you can take it, it's a lot less annoying than trying to use the hat and the mirror and stuff. It's not hands-free, like it is like this. Like I couldn't use it riding a bicycle or unicycle or skateboard like I could with my hands-free setup. I mean, I guess I could use the handheld on a bike or unicycle or skateboard. But the problem with that is that you have to drop it, whereas if you need it, grab the handlebars or something. Whereas if you do this thingamabobber, then you can just, you don't have to, you can be purely hands-free. Biking with a mirror over your face is probably a bad idea. But at the same time, you can wear this and then you can stop, pop on your hat when you're stopped, just standing there, and then you can start typing away. Yeah. So, as you can see, I've experimented with a ton of different configurations and setups, everything imaginable. I want to get a good typing test. I've been rewriting my chord detection software. It's working a lot better. It's a lot simpler. I've gone through well, this is my 3rd version of chord detection. I guess my 3rd major version. My initial version of Adventure Keyboard, I tried a lot of different things to improve chord detection because it is hard to type with chord detection is a challenging problem because if you make it too sensitive, then when you type, your fingers on the keys will overlap a lot. If you're typing at full speed, you're pressing one key and you're pressing the next key before you release the first key. So if your chord detection is too sensitive, then you have to be completely meticulous about releasing the first key before you press the second key. If you allow some adjustment, like the way I'm doing it now, I call it a variable called early up, so it artificially releases the key. It delays processing by a certain amount of time. I think right now it's like 28 milliseconds. But this matters when you're typing fast. Like, you don't even have to be that proficient. It's just as fast as your fingers can move, right? So like those 28 milliseconds make a big difference. This means you have to hold a chord for at least 28 milliseconds for it to register. So that's a pro. If you're playing a game at 60 FPS, that's like you have to hold the chord for 2 frames, basically, to trigger the chord. But anyway, so that matters a lot because just allowing your fingers to move that much faster when you're doing individual key presses, it prevents errors typing, trust me. Makes a huge difference. So chord detection is a very tricky problem. Like I said, I'm on my 3rd major revision of chord detection. I think what I'm doing now is really good. I release every key like something like 28 milliseconds early, and actually the space key in particular, because you're hitting the space key so often and immediately after other keys, I actually delay the hit on this space key. So I release it every key early, but the space key I hit that late. It's like, I think I turned it up to 18 milliseconds. I had it like at 8 milliseconds. But like these 10 millisecond differences matter. Just because typing, there's so many actions you do in typing, and there's so many fine. When you're talking about chord detection, it's just very specific timing things that you have to learn to manage. So, I really like what I'm doing here with my chord detection, but on this laptop, I do still have a bug. Let me. Oh, I know what I can do. I programmed both the left-handed and right-handed, so I can do the right-handed. Okay, RNLEATIL space. So the right-handed keyboard works, or the left-handed one works. On the right-handed one, my E key is not working for some reason right now. This is the dilemma of writing all your own software. Things don't work perfectly. But let's try left-handed. So, what should I type? Left hand did is still really slow for me. Okay, so yeah, it works, but I'm faster with my right hand than my left, so I can't really get a good test here, unfortunately. But that's gonna wrap it up for today. I just wanted to go over everything as it currently stands with those keyboard projects. So just to review, we have the main adventure keyboard program that there's an APK. The APK is out of date. So you can download this HTML zip. See right here, we have an APK for Adventure Keyboard. This is just at derekmc.gitlab.io. So we have an APK, you can install that, it works. It's out of date, so it has old bugs instead of the new bugs, so some things may work better. Maybe the gaming controller works with this, but The HTML file is what I recommend. You download it, you unzip it. You can just open the file on your phone, whether you're online or offline. And the easiest way is just to use this online, on your phone, on a computer, on anything. So that's the easiest way to use this program. So then here I was working on another chord detection system, and I made a language for defining the chord layout. I didn't really like that layout. This user interface is a little nicer, but it's not the latest version of my chord detection. So down at the bottom I have a link, extra links, Adventure Keyboard Upgraded Chord Detection. So that's here. This is very raw. We can look at the source code. More tools. Where's view source? So I guess we can look at the source here. So we have several files here: chord listen, chord map, main text window. This is an old project I wrote to just do a simple keyboard-based text editor, but the way I rewrote my chord detection, it creates synthetic keyboard events. So it creates an artificial key down and key up listener, so you could program a program to respond to normal keyboard events, and then you can just plug in this layer and it'll translate your chord presses into equivalent keyboard events on a full keyboard. So it's a lot easier to use with this new chord detection system I'm working on. It's going to be a lot easier to integrate it with other JavaScript software, so you can embed it on your web page really easily. Right now it does work, but it would be a little trickier because I haven't. Well, I don't think it would be that bad, but you just have to include a couple of these files, like chord listen, chord map, and util, and then let me show you the main here. What do you do here? There's just a couple function calls you have to make. Okay, right here. You need a translate function. You can just use translate chord from chord map. Then you need this create a chord listen object using the translate function and then a target. And then you just say handle.add event listener. You just add event listener, but it adds it to this translation layout that translates it from the normal keyboard events and it interprets it as a chorded keyboard, and then it triggers keyboard events. So when you write your program, you just have to write a program that handles normal keyboard events, and then you just use my layer, and then your program will automatically work with the chorded keyboard. And you can do a custom chorded keyboard. Like, this is the newest language for customizing the chorded keyboard input. So yeah, you map the home row letters to the key codes, and then you map, like, so for example, to press B you press the home row T and I at the same time. Those are the top two keys in the center. To press C you press R and I at the same time. So yeah, it's a very simple language. The semicolons here are exactly as if you had a new line, so it's just, you do the character you want to define, and then the rest of the line is the chord, separated by spaces. So B is T and I, G is T and O, M is N and O, U is R and E, Y is T and L, Z is T and. So that's how I define all the chords here. To move left, you press N and then R. To move right, you press R and then N. Page up is N then A, page down is A and then N. Digit, the 1 digit is shift and then R, the 2 digit is shift and then N. So that's how this chord language works. So yeah, again, that's going to be at my project website, derekmc.gitlab.io. And then you scroll down to extra links and projects, adventure keyboard. So, we are almost at an hour, but that's fine. There's a lot of information covered here. It's more like documentation. This isn't intended for a casual user to introduce them. But I wanted to go over everything in the current state of these projects, and so that's going to be it.